Chainsaw Man isn't just a great manga, it is peak fiction.
The episode begins with trying to make you care about the protagonist because he has suffered a lot, lost everything, and is risking his life for peanuts. It would work too if it wasn't an edgy CGI gore fest.
No contest anime of the year clincher. This anime eclipses all that has come before it.
Then the first battle happens. Out of screen. You are watching an edgy CGI gore fest and there is no edgy CGI gore fest in it. Plus, we have no idea how he fights as a normal human, so it comes off as easy.
This is a work of art that will change the way you look at art, and the world in general.
Then comes a Crimea River scene where we are supposed to care about the protagonist and to completely ignore the fact that nobody came to his help as a child. You know, a relative, a teacher, the police, public service, a neighbor, anyone in general. It's like watching Elfen Lied all over again. Nobody does anything for the sake of overblown drama. But then again, it is an edgy CGI gore fest, so what did you expect?
It's unlike anything else that's ever been published.
Then the protagonist is betrayed and gets thrown in the trash where he belongs. That's all he deserves for risking his life for peanuts all these years. Instead of seeking help from a relative, a teacher, the police, public service, a neighbor, anyone in general. But then again, it is an edgy CGI gore fest, so what did you expect?
He breaks every shonen manga mold.
Obviously, the protagonist doesn't die in the first episode and just comes back with a power-up. Because what did you know? That's what happens in all shonen that constantly want you to think the protagonist can die in the first episode. Even when zombies eat him alive for a whole minute, he's perfectly fine. This shonen is really original.
Anyone who is alive right now and doesn't read Chainsaw Man before they're not will have led an incomplete life.
And then we get an edgy CGI gore fest which looks horrible, and there is nothing to care about because the protagonist is immortal, the bad guys are mindless zombies, the big boss is a one-dimensional evil demon, and nothing is at stake.
If you still need convincing of the transcendent genius of this manga, then look no further than Power, the waifu who will be on the tip of everyone's lips for the rest of time.
And then the typical manic pixie dream girl appears to give him a waifu pillow for seducing him into following her into her organization, which is exactly what happens in every anime that has a manic pixie dream girl.
If you say this show is overrated, I will have to give you a very stern look.
This edgy CGI gore fest is really original. Thank goodness there is no other story quite like it.
Buy merchandise!
Who let the dogs out?
Waifu number 1 tells the protagonist to act like a dog and to bark whenever he agrees. I'm sure that's not gonna be memed to death, as I am sure this is not why most modern anime fans, most of which are simps, love the manga so much. But then again, I hate popular things for the sake of it, so don't believe what I say, it's true. Then the protagonist face plants on her boobs and spends most of the episode in simping. That's why he's the most relatable character for modern anime fans. But then again, I hate popular things for the sake of it, so don't believe what I say, it's true. Then he goes to fight a monster and he defeats it in less than a second. Wasn't this supposed to be an action show? Where is the action? But then again, I hate popular things for the sake of it, so don't believe what I say, it's true. Then the second waifu appears, and after the protagonist simps for her as well, because that's what makes him so relatable to modern anime fans, she defeats another monster in less than a second, because this is supposed to be an action show. And that was the second episode of the most hyped anime of the decade. Imagine how much more boring the rest of them are going to be. Woof woof, simp protagonist, nothing is exciting, and modern fans call it peak fiction. But then again, I hate popular things for the sake of it, so don't believe what I say, it's true. Now let's go over the criticism I got for the first episode. You said nobody helps the protagonist because nobody wants to mess with the mafia. We never saw that, the mangaka didn't bother to show it, the animators didn't bother to include it, and you're just assuming stuff for the sake of excusing this drama bait. You made a headcanon and you ran with it, so fuck off, I was right. But then again, I hate popular things for the sake of it, so don't believe what I say, it's true. Then you said the protagonist was not plot armored when his demon saved his life. He wasn't dead, and it was the demon who sacrificed his life so that the protagonist can live. How is that not plot armor when they were both about to die and used something that not only brought them back to life with a power-up and fast regeneration, but it was also something the other demon didn't know it was possible despite also being a demon? It's as plot armor gets, so fuck off, I was right. But then again, I hate popular things for the sake of it, so don't believe what I say, it's true. Then you said Makima is not a manic pixie dream girl when she fits the definition perfectly by being whimsical and taking the protagonist out of his awful life and into a world of fun. Also, he simps for her, which is the prime reason she exists for, so fuck off, I was right. But then again, I hate popular things for the sake of it, so don't believe what I say, it's true. Then you said the CGI is not bad, yet it looks horrible in the action scene. You know, the thing this episode didn't have. Just compare this monstrosity with Army of Darkness, a far superior piece of peak fiction about a guy with a chainsaw and zombies and lots of gore, and tell me what looks better. Fuck off, I was right. But then again, I hate popular things for the sake of it, so don't believe what I say, it's true.
Who let the dogs out?
Oof, what an empty episode. It was just the protagonist simping again.
Chainsaw Man is like a deep ocean in terms of depth and things that you can really just gain from its story and writing.
The simp protagonist was doing whatever waifu number 2 was telling him, just because he was hoping to grab her boobs.
There is a lot of nods, there's a lot of subtle foreshadowing, there is so many little things throughout this episode that is just jaw-dropping.
Then the waifu exploits the protagonist, like all women do with simps, but he doesn't stop simping for her because he's that retarded.
Wanting to analyze and dive into the deep well of content that it is.
Then a monster betrays the waifu, so the audience will forgive the exploitive bitch for what she did to the simp protagonist, as well as the hundreds of innocent people she murdered for not much of a reason.
It's just so cool how there's just so many different layers to Chainsaw Man to really just dissect in.
Then the simp protagonist, who should be dead from his injuries but didn't because he's immortal, releases his bankai and beats the monster. And that was the end of the episode. Absolutely nothing of substance.
Such a great way of writing from Fujimoto's manga. Like, he really dived definitely deep into this.
Who let the dogs out?
In fairy tales, when the big bad wolf eats someone, that person is perfectly fine in his stomach, and if someone else opens up the belly, that person can come out and be perfectly fine.
Okay, guys, let's be adults here. Closer an angel!
This of course happens only in stories for children and not in peak fiction like Chainsaw Man, where waifu number 2 and her cat are perfectly fine when they get eaten by a demon. It's so amazingly written that even when the demon gets butchered to little pieces with a chainsaw, waifu 2 and her cat are perfectly fine inside him. And it's all done because the sympathetic protagonist wants to grab her boobs. Amazing explanation for why she hasn't been chewed up and then melted in acid when she gets eaten up. And amazing motivation for the most relatable protagonist in the history of forever. Only peak fiction has people getting eaten by monsters and then come out of the stomach perfectly fine. It's why Attack on Titan is also peak fiction.
You're not gonna tell me you didn't have these emotions swell inside of you. Amusement? Disgust? And in some way, respect towards Power's character.
The peak fiction continues with the second demon appearing with no foreshadowing. Only amazing writers don't bother to build up a character before she jumps out of nowhere, and only genius level writers have the motivation of the monster being to kill the waifu for being obedient to her dead husband and to let the murderer of her husband to go away because he's handsome.
This scene is multi-layered, just like the toilet paper in that.
The peak fiction continues with a devil hunter appearing out of nowhere and saving the protagonist a moment before he is killed. Again, only amazing writers don't bother to build up a character before he jumps in out of nowhere, and only masters of storytelling make it last less than a second, so there won't be any action in an action series. Spend 5 minutes in running around without achieving anything, and then have someone else achieving it in less than a second.
It really speaks a lot about her character and Fujimoto's writing. Like, Fujimoto, is an incredible writer.
Remember when the first episode wanted you to feel sorry for the protagonist for having lost body parts? Only Pick Fiction would ruin this dramatization by making him an immortal simp who heals completely after every battle.
She does not flush. It's so good! It's so good!
And then the Pick Fiction ends with the simp protagonist being allowed to touch boobs while on his knees like the dog he is. Plus the waifu says she doesn't flush her shit. He will have to eat them or some crap. Now that's a scene which I am sure is not gonna create a sick audience of simps who will be flocking to anime with MCs who act like dogs.
She's acting like she's on her throne, like she's the queen.
Oh, the first one has already been announced. That time I reincarnated into a simp dog and was treated as such by cute girls. Thanks, Chainsaw Man, for your contribution to mankind. You truly are Pick Fiction.
Oh my goodness, it's such a good scene, and it really just goes to show how good Fujimoto's writing is.
Who let the dogs out?
In this episode of Pick Fiction, the simp goes after a manipulative waifu for sexual favors, which as everyone admits in the reviews is the main reason he's so relatable. Then the simp obeys another manipulative waifu for sexual favors, which as everyone admits in the reviews is the main reason he's so relatable. Then the simp obeys a third manipulative waifu for sexual favors, which as everyone admits in the reviews is the main reason he's so relatable. Look at him running like a dog with his tongue hanging out, ready to please the manipulative waifus for sexual favors, without caring one bit about his allies who want to help him. This is the modern protagonist. This is what you should expect to see in every show here on. And the industry will make sure to normalize it so you'll think being a simp who mindlessly runs towards his death for sexual favors by manipulative waifus is the most natural thing to do. Forget about manly men like Kenshiro. They are full of toxic masculinity. This is the future. This is what being a man means to modern anime fans. Thank you, Chainsaw Man. You truly are Pick Fiction for promoting the most relatable protagonist there is.